are the words, miss? Like,
what does the question say? The story develops. So look back at the extract so far. Identify the key events. What are the key events?
miss,
Yeah. One of the key events would be showing the children the way to the river. Doesn't
yes,
it show
miss,
that?
that's what I was about to say.
Right. Okay.
In
So
extract
that is
3.
one. What else?
Like in extract 4, like the hummingbird that fell from the nest in the garden.
Exactly. Way to the river. That's right. So that is one event. So what's the second event you said?
Helping
about
the hummingbird.
yes, helping the hummingbird. Helping the hummingbird. What else? Anything else?
In extract 5, like she told that the merchant that the boy didn't steal with us.
Yeah. So helping the boy escape. No. Helping the boy who was accused of stealing. Isn't it? Helping
Yes.
the boy. Then how brave should she become now? Helping the boy accused of him stealing. Right? So those are some of the key events. From the story, if we look back so far up to now, these are some of the areas, key events that we can see that this granddaughter has developed herself to come out of that scared child to become a confident person, an adult, isn't it?
Yes.
So making sketches for these events that you can, like you just make sketches. I'm not going to do that in the class now because we can save our time. Okay. Then discuss the effect of each event and how they relate to each other. Discuss the effect. What is the effect of each event?
The braveness of the girl from each of them.
Effect is to show how brave and confident the girl has become. How do they relate to each other? Step by step, it shows her improvement, isn't it?
Yes.
First, she does a very simple thing like showing the children the way to the water. Then she does a little advanced incident. We can see that she helps the hummingbird. And last, another event is that helping helping an accused boy of stealing. How bold should she be? isn't it? It all relates to show how we, step by step how she has progressed in her the development that she has acquired, isn't it?
Yes.
Now there are two possible endings for the story. Letter A says, granddaughter's child is also fearful. Granddaughter uses the things she has learned from grandmother to help her own child overcome her fears. Then again it says, granddaughter decides to use the knowledge she has gained from her grandmother to help the people of the village. She teaches others how to overcome their fears. So there are two possible endings, right? So what you got to do is, how are these two endings similar or different? What do you think? How are these two endings similar or different?
Both of them tell us that the granddaughter helps other people to overcome their fears, and she uses her grandmother's the things she learned from her grandmother and helps people to overcome their fears.
Granddaughter's child is also fearful. Granddaughter uses the things she has learned from grandmother to help her own child overcome her fears. Granddaughter's child. Then granddaughter decides to use the knowledge she has gained from her grandmother to help the people of the village. She teaches others how to overcome their fears. So the one similarity that I can see is that in both endings, she is helpful towards her child in the first one. In the second ending, she is helpful towards the village, isn't it? So that is a similarity that we can understand, that in both endings, that she is helpful. The granddaughter is helpful. Then the difference is, then also we understand that the grandmother is getting old and more weak, isn't it? The grandmother is getting old and she's getting weak. So the granddaughter has to look after her. Has to look after her. Then so those are some of the similarities and differences. Here the difference is what? What is the difference? In the first one, the granddaughter's child is fearful, so granddaughter uses the things that learned from grandmother to help her child, though the similarity is to help others, to help, but the person that she helps is different.
Yes.
So which ending do you think is most likely and why? Which ending do you think is most likely to the story so far that we have read? And why do you think so?
Maybe B.
Sorry?
B.
I didn't get you.
I think
B.
yeah, B.
Why is that?
Because it would be better to help all of the people to overcome their fears, like
According to the story, what do you think is more likely that would happen according to the story? So, in a general point of view, you think that B is more better as an ending. But in the storyline, in the line of the story, what do you think? Which one do you suggest would be the ending according to the storyline?
I think A.
Sorry?
I think A.
A, isn't it? Because granddaughter is being confident through her through her mother, and then she passes that to her own child. So that way, it connects more closely to the real story. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes. So, can you, what are the events again? What are the events that we can justify this? If we have we have chosen letter A. Are there any, what quotations can you give me some quotations that we could justify this from the passage? I mean, the ones that I have put down here, 1, 2, 3 key events. What are the supporting ideas to say that ending A is more likely to be the ending of this story?
One and two.
1 and 2. Showing the children the way to the river and helping the hummingbird. Okay, how do these two events support our idea that according to the storyline, that the same way the granddaughter uses granddaughter is being looked after by the grandmother, right? Grandmother.
I couldn't understand. But
Yeah. Now, how does that? Now, the key events that I have put down here. You said 1 and 2 supports our idea, right? Supports our idea. What is the idea that letter A is more likely to go in line with the extracts that we have, the storyline that we have read so far. So now, the events are like showing the children the way to the river, helping the hummingbird. So how do those key events, right? How do those key events help us to tell that letter A goes in line with the story? So the granddaughter, same way, the way she is bold and confident, right? Granddaughter, the same way that she is. So the same way it will be passed on to her daughter. Yes. So that is why, that is how it relates in the story. Right. So if you were to if you were to give an ending to this story, what do you think would happen? Would you give it a happy ending or a sad ending?
happy.
You would give it a happy ending. Okay, so can you tell me quickly, like about 2 to 3 sentences, can you tell me an ending for this story, like letter A and B? We could say that according to the story that we can see, the grandmother is getting older. So she needs help. She needs someone to look after her. So then granddaughter has
And in the other extracts, the granddaughter lays on her grandmother's lap, so maybe her great granddaughter may do that as well at the end.
Can you give a small ending, like a not a narrative, but an ending to the story? My ending is like this. My ending is like, I could say that the grandmother gets old and weak. So the granddaughter has to look after her. And the granddaughter faces more challenges in life because she's on her own when the grandmother is old and she cannot do anything. She's not, she has to look after her as well. So having that kind of a situation, the granddaughter has to face many challenges in life, right? So what do you think? How would your story end? How would your story end? Okay. So you think about what happened, right, to the characters and give it a different ending to the story. So you think about it on your own, okay? So that is something that you can do at home. Then I cleaned the screen. So are you okay? Are you sure about reporting verbs? What are reporting verbs? We learned it last week.
They are the verbs that shows the action of speaking and like speaking with direct and reported speech, maybe.
Yes. So what is the effect of using reporting verbs? Why do we use it?
It describes how the character speaks.
It describes how not the character speaks.
Like it suggests the qualities of a person.
Emotions.
Emotions.
Of the character. The state of the character at that point, that facing that situation. So it is an alternative, like reporting verbs can be used rather than using said, the word said. Most often we would see in dialogues that when there is a person, when we quote a person's speech, we use what do you call it, the quotation marks, and we said, mother said, brother said, my friend said. But rather than using the word said, we can use reporting verbs such as whispered, exclaimed. We spoke about these types of words, isn't it? To give more meaning to what we are writing. Because those words tell us the character, situation, in what type of a situation is the character. at that point when the character is expressing ideas. Understood?
Yes, miss.
And you also you have to improve on understanding the figurative language given in a text and understand the effect that figurative or the literary device that is used, how it affects the writing, right? How you can be effective. Is that understood? Yes. You need to improve on that part. Right. Let's look at the next section, climbing the mountains alone. What are explicit and implicit information?
Ideas and details that the writer states directly.
Hmm?
How do you say that? Explicit
Explicit.
information like the ideas writer states directly.
Yes. So explicit information is on the surface. You do not need to dig deep to find the information. It can happen in questions as well. When you have to find answers in most of the literate comprehension questions, you may get questions where you need to think beyond the surface meaning. Understood? So explicit means it is on the surface, you do not have to worry or work hard to understand the answer. But when it comes to implicit information, right? You have to work out. You have to read sentences before and after, right? Or in the middle to properly understand the hidden meaning. If I say hidden meaning, hidden idea, that is correct. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Right. Now, let me ask you, what is cultural belief? What are cultural beliefs?
Miss, did you say anything?
What, darling?
Did you say anything?
Yes, I asked you, what does the phrase cultural beliefs mean?
Like, in different cultures, there are certain beliefs that people believe in, like
Yes,
those.
maybe religion, could be
Yeah.
religion. Then different rituals, isn't it?
Yes.
Cultural beliefs. A group of people that shares the same common idea, right? Brings about with culture, traditions, religion, the way, rituals, all this means cultural belief. So, how might your own beliefs affect the way you react to stories and other people's ideas and attitudes? Yes. So, different people have different attitudes, isn't it?
Yes.
Different opinions. Then, how do you think your own belief affect the way you react to stories and other people's ideas and attitudes? Do you feel offended sometimes? Maybe when it comes to religion, sometimes people might get offended because one thing is good in one religion and the other one is, there are things that is not done. So some people get offended, but some people, they understand each other and they get along. So what else? Rituals are also the same, isn't it? Different cultures have different rituals. So, according to you, do you get what are your ideas and attitudes?
Like when I read to stories.
To stories in a sense, not like stories that we read on books, right? Other people's attitudes and ideas. That's what it's called, stories here. How might your belief affect the way how other people think, right? How other people behave.
Mm. Sometimes they might be like offended and curious
Hmm.
and
Curious, yes.
yeah,
They might get offended as well, isn't it? When your idea and other people's beliefs, attitudes, they don't go well with you. It could be anything, the way how they think, right? Right, okay.
yes.
Now we have an extract. That's extract number 7. Let's listen.
Extract 7. In time, grandmother grew old and more frail.
The granddaughter attended to her, coming at dawn to light the fire and to boil water for tea. She cooked for her, and she washed and brushed her fine silver hair. She massaged her well-worn feet, gently rubbing every single toe. She took grandmother's loving hands in hers and massaged her old, stiff fingers. Sometimes, but now less frequently, they walked together across the village, through the valley, into the mountains, laughing and singing together. And wherever the ground was uneven, granddaughter offered grandmother her arm. One night, in a dream, granddaughter saw grandmother walking up the mountains alone. She wanted to walk with her, but grandmother turned and raised her hand. "I have to go on alone," she said, with a quiet smile in her eyes. The next morning, granddaughter went to grandmother's house as usual, but when she went to wake her, grandmother's body was cold and her face free from worry. Granddaughter dropped to her knees. Grief struck as quickly and precisely as lightning. She felt her heart flutter and her stomach churn, just as they had when she was a child. She trembled from head to toe, like cedar branches in a raging storm. How could she live without her beloved grandmother? Her heart opened like a river, and tears soaked her face and spilled onto her chest. She doubled over in despair, and sobs welled up from her belly and her bones.
That's a very sad thing, extract, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does that tell us? That what has happened to the grandmother?
That she's passing away.
But just imagine the way how it is being described. She felt her heart flutter and her stomach churn, just as they had when she was a child.
Yeah.
She trembled from head to toe like cedar branches in a raging storm. How could we live without a beloved grandmother? Her heart opened like a river, and tears soaked her face and spilled onto her chest. Can you imagine that? What a lot of these words, it could draw an art in our mind. Could
Yeah.
it could, the way how it is explained. It's very beautiful. She doubled over in despair and sobs welled up from her belly and her bones. Right. Now here it says, list the things from the first paragraph that the granddaughter does for grandmother. What are the things that she does for her grandmother? In the
Miss,
first,
can you hear me? It just got stuck.
okay, sorry. So in the first paragraph, what does the grandmother from the first, list the things from the first paragraph that the granddaughter does for her grandmother. What does she do?
First paragraph. She cooks and brushes her hair and she massages her feet.
Yes. So if we take from all of the extracts, what do you think?
Miss, what do you mean, like a part of the extract?
No, not apart from the extract, darling, from extract 1 to 7. 1 to 7. What are the list of things that the granddaughter does for grandmother?
Mm.
Okay, I'll just put down one like this, okay? Lights the fire, right? Lights the fire. So that is one incident. Okay. Understood. That is one incident.
Uh,
Can you tell me another incident? Another thing that the granddaughter does for her grandmother.
She cooks. She brushes. She brushes the grandmother's hair.
Yes. So water and cooks for her. Boils water and cooks for her. Right? What else? What else does she do?
What, Miss?
What else does she do? You said brushes her hair, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And then she massages her feet.
Brushes and washes and brushes her hair.
Yes.
Washes and brushes her hair. What else? Massages.
Massages her feet.
Her massages her feet and hands. What else?
Miss, is it also like, can we also put that they walk together across the village?
Yes, supporting. They walked together across the village. What was she doing when they were walking? The granddaughter was holding her arm to support her, right? Then they walked across the where? Where did they walk?
Across the village.
Across the village.
Like through the valley, mountains,
Ah.
they laugh and sing.
Right. So holding her arm to support her. Village holding her arm to support her. Right. Now we did a list of things that the granddaughter did for who? For her grandmother. We did a list. We wrote a list of things. Isn't it?
Yes.
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 Now, what does the question say? List the things from that the granddaughter did for grandmother. Next to each one, note down how it links to earlier parts of the story. How does it link to earlier parts of the story?
From the other extracts also, but
Yes, from the other extracts. Lights the fire. Now in this story, in this extract, what does she do?
she helps the grandmother.
She lights the fire. No, here she lights the fire. So those are some of the then boils water for tea. So there are things like that. Then cooked and she washed her, brushed her fine silver hair. So like this, now we have listed many. Okay. Now out of this, now what we have to do is, I'm not showing you the grid, no? Okay. Can you see now? The table that I have put down? Isuli,
Yes, miss?
can you see the table I have put down?
Yes.
So these are the list of things that granddaughter did for grandmother in this extract. So now we have to now link each and every incident. Each and every incident, what do we have to do? Match it with the earlier parts of the story. Link it with the earlier parts of the story. But to find how it is done. So for example, lights the fire, right? Lights the fire. So if you go to extract 3, in extract 3 it says, keeping her warm as a child. Keeping her warm as a child. Keeping her Did you see that? Keeping her warm as a child. Now, can you see how?
In which paragraph in extract 3?
This is in darling extract 3. You will find it in extract 3. Okay. So these are the links, list of things, incidents. This is how it links to extract 3. In extract 3, it says keeping her warm as a child. A child. So that means when this granddaughter, when she was small, the grandmother used to keep her warm as a child. Now what has happened? Now the grandmother is old and weak. The granddaughter has to light the fire to keep the grandmother warm. Can you see the connection?
Yes, miss.
So like that, can you find a connection from the extracts that we have read so far? Boils water and cooks for her.
Okay. And so, miss, like when I'm finding something similar for that, should it also be like a different meaning for cook that thing?
Not a different meaning, darling. You heard there should be a connection like the same way. How the granddaughter lights the fire to keep the grandmother warm. So at the beginning of the story, the same thing the grandmother has done. That's the link. How, but in different ways, but in she has done it. The same thing in different way, in a different way. Boils water and cooks for her. If you read extract 1 on this story that we are reading, if you read extract 1, it says, grandmother teaches her to plant and gather food. So that connects with this because the grandmother taught her to do that. Now what does she do? Boils water and cooks for her. She does all the daily activities in cooking as well. Why? What is the reason? The link. That is the link from the earlier passages that is coming down towards this, where the granddaughter takes care of the grandmother. So how does it link? Right? Grandmother teaches her to plant and gather food. So this is the link. It's coming from extract 1. Is it clear?
Yes, miss.
Now can you find the next one? Wash and brushes her hair. Find the connection.
Miss, like, have we put like stroked her hair?
Very good. Yes, definitely. So this links to grandmother stroking her hair as a child, right? As a child. So do you know from which extract you got it?
It's like in every extract.
Mainly it is mentioned in extract 1.
Mm.
There is also in extract 3 as well.
Was there in extract 1, Miss? But
But
I think it started from extract 3.
extract 3, right? Yes. But there is an extract 1 also, isn't it?
It's like it's about the crops they grew and about the grandmother.
Hmm. Right. So in extract 3, it is there. Right. Then the last one, massages her feet and hands.
Miss, like in some extracts, like when the grandmother strokes her, like she puts courage inside her body. It's that.
No, that is not a connection of the incidents. Those are feelings, emotions, the confidence that the grandmother had given to her. Now here we are looking at connections. What did the same thing that the granddaughter is doing for her grandmother also had done it for her when she was a child. So this is the connection we are looking at. Why is the granddaughter now massaging the grandmother's feet and hands? Why is that? Because she is weak and feeble. So how was she? How was her feet? Then when this girl was a young girl, how was she then?
What, Miss?
Now, why is the granddaughter massaging the grandmother's feet? Why is that?
Because the grandmother is weak.
Yes. Then how was she when granddaughter was a child? How was she then? What does the passage tell us about her feet? There's a description about grandmother. So in the description, what does it say?
In extract 1, it says that she has powerful legs and sturdy feet.
Ah, there you go. There you go. Powerful legs, the grandmother's sturdy feet, isn't it? There's a description of her powerful and sturdy feet. So in extract 1, isn't it?
Yes.
Ah, right. So one more to go. What is that? Walked across the village holding her arm to support her. So what does this incident link with? Now this time when she is walking, at this point when she is walking, she needs support, isn't it? She needs support. But those days, did she need support?
No.
No. Why is that?
Because
Because she had powerful legs to walk. Right? She had powerful legs to walk. In which extract? Extract,
step 1.
yes. Extract what happened there. Extract 1. Okay. Extract 1. So did you understand the whole thing now? The connection when the grandmother is old and the girl is young, when the girl is an adult and now the grandmother is very old. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Right. So that now we did list the things, the key events. We have listed it. Then next to each note, we have put down the links to the earlier parts of the story. Now, the writer uses many images of nature. What do you think the image of the grandmother climbing the mountains alone symbolizes? Right? Remember, alone. The granddaughter is not there. What does it symbolize? What do you think the image of the grandmother climbing the mountain alone symbolizes? So, the image of grandmother climbing the mountains alone. Where does it say the grandmother climbing the mountains alone?
It's like 7, the third paragraph. The third paragraph.
One night in a dream, granddaughter saw grandmother walking up the mountains alone. Why do you think she saw this? She wanted to walk with her, but grandmother turned and raised her hand. I have to go on alone, she said, with a quiet smile in her eyes. Now, since we have listened to the story, you should be able to understand why granddaughter would have seen a dream like that. What does it symbolize?
It shows that the grandmother wants to spend her last moment of her life alone with the nature.
Think again. What happens at the end? What happens at the end?
She dies.
Yes, the grandmother she dies, right? Basically. Right? So, for that. Okay, so doesn't it connect with that? Don't you think so? Having a dream now, these two always go together, right? They walk together, even though the grandmother needs a little bit of support, they walk together, right? But then this time she's seeing the grandmother walking alone.
But does this dream tell that the grandmother is no longer with the granddaughter anymore?
Not that
Something like
no longer, but it symbolizes that grandmother will die soon. She's dying and she's going to leave her. That is, now can you understand that what happens here? So in the dream, granddaughter sees grandmother walking up the mountain, so she's going all alone, right? So even though she needs her to come, but then grandmother says that she's going to go alone in this journey with a quiet smile in her eyes. Can you see the emotions behind it?
yes.
So it indirectly, it's a indirect idea, right? That the grandmother is going to pass away, right? So that is what it symbolizes. It symbolizes grandmother dying.